Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Bolle the podcast. My name's Jaden Lewis, and joining me today in the hosting chair is Zahir Merchant.
Hi, Jaden. Great to be here. Welcome, everyone, to Bolle the podcast.
Hi Jaden, hi Zahir, and hi all the podcast. My name is Li Tian, and yeah.
Li Tian, thank you very much for joining us today. Really appreciate you being here, and we are looking forward to talking to you about everything chess and everything Li Tian. So, for those of our listeners today, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself to give us a background, and then we'll dive into a couple of details.
Sure, David. So my full name is Yeoh Li Tian, and I'm 22 this year, and I'm currently a university student and a part-time chess player, I guess. So, yeah.
So, tell us your history in chess. You started from a very, very young age. What age were you when you started?
Yeah, so according to my father, I started playing chess at like 2 or 3 years old. And yeah, I don't exactly know how I learned chess at a young age, but yeah.
So at 2 or 3 years old, gosh, man, that's really intense. So obviously, it was your father that had a big influence on you in chess. Is that the
Yeah,
case?
yeah, because he himself uh, was the national master in Malaysia in year 1993, and then so he liked chess a lot even up to today, and so he just taught us how to play chess. And yeah, at first he just taught me and my brother playing chess just as an for an education purpose, like train your focus, train kid to be more disciplined and things like that. And then after that, he just realized the potential in me, and he asked me like, "Do you like playing chess?" I said yes, and that's how the journey begins.
So,
What was it
between your
about?
dad and you, sorry, Jaden,
Mhm.
I was just going to ask him if he's
Yep.
challenged his father to a game before and what was the outcome between your dad and you? Just out of
Uh,
curiosity.
Uh, for very long we have never played already because I think it's at around when I was 13 or 14 years old. That was the time where I started overtaking him. And after that, well, he still gave like a few good inputs here and there, but we will never play on the boards because, yeah.
Was it just your father in the family that was playing chess, or was it his family, his extended family as well?
Just my father. And uh, I mean, he taught my father, and other than that, my cousins do play chess as well, but like not seriously, and it's up to like state level, so I think it's pretty good as well.
Okay.
Okay.
So, what was it like being a chess player at a young age and going through, your school levels? I'm presuming, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it wasn't an overly popular game to be playing at the time. So, how did that fit into your daily life?
Yeah, chess is even up to now is still not as a mainstream sport, but I think chess let me knows a lot of new friends because and mainly because chess is different from other sports in the sense that age actually doesn't matter in chess. Like in sports, you can't ask a primary school player to play at high school level. In terms of physical strength, you just loses completely. But chess is different, and that's why I actually get to uh, know different friends from different generation, and it makes me kind of different from the other peers because I have more experience in this sort of social.
Right.
So,
So,
do you have like a trainer or a coach, or is this like something that you kind of hone your own skills with and against what, if that's the case?
In terms of like long term consistently is it's only my father that is since 2 years old until now, we are still working together, and he'll give some inputs here and there. But like short term, while sometimes like 1 month or even shorter, like a few days, there will be some other uh, top players that I will work together with. So yeah.
And but with COVID, I mean, do you get a chance to practice in person, or is it something that you would play virtually? How would you like train or practice yourself?
Right now, actually, like most chess training is not done by playing chess. It's more about analysis, and it's I would say it's actually since the computer engines come in, it's all about using engines and analyze, and then you need to extract the idea out of it. So it doesn't really impact the training program because of the COVID. You cannot play with each other or something. You still sit in front of the computer and do everything.
Right. Well, I mean, Jaden was taking through a very interesting journey earlier on, and one of the things that he had in some of his excellent research unearthed was that you went to Beijing Chess Institute, and that
Yeah.
must have been really interesting. Can you give us a little bit of details about that? How was it that you got sponsored? What happened when you went there? The kind of people that you met and played against?
Yeah, so I think I went to Beijing, China in when I was 9 years old. Or is it 10? I mean, somewhere, sometime like that. So I'm not sure if Beijing Chess Institute is a correct English naming, because it's like this is just not just for Beijing. It's like it's a chess institute for the whole China. It's just that it's
Mm.
based in Beijing. So it actually absorb all the talents from all part of China, and then they do some centralized training over there, even up to this day. So and then it was a great experience because normally not all players can get to go in and train even 1 day with them is not possible. It's just that because the late Dato Tan Kim Nam, who did a very who did a lot of contribution to the Malaysian chess, and because he had some connection with the chess institute, so he was just suggesting like why not let me and Tan Li Ting and another talent at that time. So we both went to training for 6 weeks at the Beijing Chess Institute. So what happened was I would say is they are I'm actually quite impressed now that I think back about it. Because at that point the people I work around with, all the talents, they are actually quite young, and their teaching method is like they just let them do whatever they like. If there are the books there, the environment is there, you can play among each other, but they don't like force you a rigid training program. You do whatever that you think will helps you, and this actually requires a lot of discipline.
Mm.
But yeah, and I can say they are very disciplined, but
Right.
me and Liting was less disciplined in the first 2 weeks or something like that. So and then after that we get used to it, and we really sit down and train a lot. And the point is that it's actually very different because we in some sense you get to see a lot of new things because in Malaysia there's not much resource, but in over there it's like all the resources are just right in front of you, and you don't really know which will suit you the best.
And was the standard very high? I mean, like amongst your peers and amongst the people who are there, because it must be such an invigorating kind of environment to be in, right?
Yeah, it, I think I didn't even win a single game in the 6 weeks time, and I
Wow.
remember it's like every day they will pick a student over there, and he will play Sima against me and Liting. Like one person play 2 games against us, and then every day there will be one such session, and literally like I think I've never won a single game, and then I just draw a few games, maybe like 10% of the game, like, and so yeah, but slowly I can feel like I gain more confidence, and like it's when you play, at first you think well, they don't make any mistakes. But then upon analysis, you realize they actually make mistakes, just that you don't manage to catch it. So after that, you just gain more confidence, and then sometimes you catch a few mistakes here and there, but it's still not enough for win. But you feel like one day you will get to play against them. And in fact, like nowadays, I actually get to meet them in international tournaments sometimes, and my result is okay actually. Like I beat a few of them, and draw, and of course I still lose to some of them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, because the question that Jaden had asked you earlier, what it's like to like plan, almost 100 moves ahead, and how that kind of fits with the mindset, how that trains your strategic thinking, memory skills, accuracy, all those things come to mind. So
Oh.
we just wanted to understand a little bit about that.
Mm. So I think yes, chess did help me a lot in my logical thinking and how to focus on something, and especially in those mathematics and maybe some of the science subject, because uh, like I can feel like sometimes um, I have the correct, how do I call this, the correct way of thinking in some sense. It's like given a problem, how do you approach the problem, and then uh, because I learned chess and then I know how to do it step by step, and I can anticipate what will happen in future after I do this step or something like this. But sometimes for others, they just get lost. Sometimes you look at a problem, you just, this is such a big problem. What do I do? And then you just give up. But you don't, because as a chess player, I will break it down to step by step and do it. So yeah.
Fantastic.
So, Zahir was mentioning about Beijing and your time there. I was watching something about you the other day, and the person interviewing you said that when you came back from Thailand, you had a change in your mindset when it came to chess. You developed a lot more of a competitive edge. Is that true? Did you feel that yourself?
Thailand, I'm not sure which Thailand tournament were you referring to, but I assume it's the tournament where I got my first IM norm. So because as an amateur player, you often just look up and see those are the professional players. No way you can compete against them. They work on chess full time. Sometimes they only have a team behind a single person. So, uh, but because I got some good results, so that result just tells me and all the Malaysian, especially the amateur players, that we can actually do it. Like with the correct way of training, we not necessarily will be worse than those professional players.
I'd actually I want to take this opportunity to dial it back, and for all the layman's out there like me as well. As I was talking to you earlier, I'm no chess expert. I don't know much about chess at all. Could you walk us through not how to play a game, obviously, but what's you're an IM, the difference between an IM and a GM, the norm process, and the levels of chess, so our listeners at home can understand it a bit better, and also for me.
So IM and GM basically is just a title, and it's a lifetime title. So it's just a difference in level, and it's like there's this World Chess Federation called FIDE, and basically there's a rating assigned to each player as long as you register under FIDE. So for IM, both IM and GM, they are like 1+3 conditions. You need to meet all these four conditions, then you can achieve the title. So for IM, the one part is on the rating. So as long as you reach 2,400 for IM or 2,500 for for GM, then you reach the first condition. And the three condition at the back will be what we call as a norm, which is basically just a good performance in one tournament. So you need to perform well in three tournaments. And so for GM norm, it's like we need 2,600 performance rating. For the rating condition is 2,500, but the norm, which means you need to perform at 2,600 at 3 tournaments. Don't need to be consecutive, just at any point of your lifetime is possible. And for IM, it's just 2,450 for IM norm. And so the main difference in the level, I would say, is in some sense you can feel the understanding of the chess is quite different. Like up to maybe around 2,300, maybe we'll talk about how to play chess in the most accurate move. Like we try to find the best move. Like let's say there's a best move, assuming. But above that is kind of how to find a move such that you won't lose, but it increases the chances of your opponent making a mistakes. So there's quite a distinct difference between these 2 point of level. So and then among that is also something like how far can you take risk before you realize, okay, this is too much, I will stop and I'll just make sure I don't lose. And this sort of things. So these are things that differentiate between each levels.
Wow.
It's interesting. So it's like three unspoken levels between for chess players that know once I hit this level, I'm ready to go. So at what point in time in your career did you realize, you know what, I'm going to take this to the next level?
Because at that point, what happened was, I actually managed to, like, I think it's when I was around 13 or 14 years old, and then I realized I can hold a draw against the stronger players, but when I want to play for win against the slightly weaker player, often I just risk too much, or I'm not doing it the right way. Like finding the best move is not working anymore because my opponents can also find their best move very easily. And so that's at the point that you realize actually winning a game is much harder than holding a draw against a strong player. So that's what that's my own experience, and also what I have been sharing with a lot of the potential good players in Malaysia, because I think that's something that as an amateur player is very important to know.
Li Tian, is there such a thing when you say the best move? What technically or strategically is the best move? So that's the first part of my question. And the second is, people always say that there is a level of aggression if you move the queen pawn. Now, I'm not sure whether that's true or not, but maybe you can explain that a little bit and give us a bit of context to it.
Yep. So the first one about the best move, basically, before the engine comes in, normally best move is just some sort of, people just imagine that there's a best move. But we don't know because we just play and then see if this wins, then maybe this is the best move and things like this. But then after the engine comes in, we normally classify the best move according to the engine as the best move of the position. So yeah, and that's also the main difference between the play style of a computer engine and human, because computer engine they just play the best move, and human we play the move that let opponent have a higher chance of making mistakes. And the second question was on the queen pawn. Yeah, so there's two main basic opening. One is a king pawn and one is a queen pawn. So normally king pawn is more sharp and more dynamic the position, because so basically you can understand the idea very easily. Ideally we will want to put both our pawns in the center, the king and the queen pawn both at the center. But if I play my king pawn first, then my opponent will also play his king pawn. Then my queen pawn cannot add one because he can just take my pawn. So what happened here is, normally if I play my king pawn, then my whole idea of the game will be that I want to manage to put my queen pawn to the center. So that would be my idea for the rest of the game, like just a simple basic idea. So and then same for the queen pawn. If I play queen pawn first, then my idea will be to play the king pawn. So the difference between this is that it is much easier to play the queen pawn like as the whole game idea than playing the king pawn, because for queen pawn your queen is already supporting your pawn, so it's easier to play the king pawn. But for king pawn, it's harder to play the pawn because your king is down there. So that's why for queen pawn, most of the time the position is more close. Like the pawns, there will be no like opening out of lines because you push both your center pawns. But for king
Right.
pawn is it's much more easier.
Very
So,
interesting.
yeah. So
Aidan,
this,
time for you and I to have a game of chess.
I think that's going to be a very short game if I'm playing. um, but look, it's fascinating listening to you talk about this because it's rolling off your tongue so easily. And I suppose you've dedicated most of your life to this, so it is stuck in your head. There's so many other questions. I mean, firstly, I wanted to ask: aside from your father, did you have any other influences, or were there any other GMs that you looked up to and aspired to be like?
I would say I very much like the current world chess champion, Magnus Carlsen from Norway. And the main reason why I like him other than other chess players is that his play style is very different. Like it's unique in his own sense. Like sometimes we say a player plays style is like aggressive or he play very positionally. But then this sort of thing is quite common in the sense that uh, you can be aggressive, but yeah, but you are actually just an average player. You do some wrong decision, being too aggressive or something. But Carlson's play style is in a sense that it only exists in the top level of play, because his play style is what we call as squeezing the water out of the rock. And so basically, there's this sort of position where sometimes the top players, the GMs, they will just agree to a draw, although there are still a lot of pieces on the board. And the reason is that we believe this position is simple enough that you won't make any mistake in future. So we just see no point of playing on, and we just agree to a draw. But Carlson, he has managed to convert this sort of position and play on and win the game against the top players. So, and this is something that I would say this sort of play style kind of only exists in the top level of play, because you can't say that I'm squeezing a water out of the rock from an average player, because they are making mistakes. It's not like you play very great or something. They just make mistakes. But against the top level player, we'll say that you manage to force them into making mistakes that they generally don't make. So that's what I aspire him to. Yeah.
Amazing. But how do you prepare yourself for a tournament then? I mean, I have some other questions in the sense that I wanted to know whether when you go for a tournament, do you have like to buy in, or are you invited? How do you put yourself into a tournament, first of all? And secondly, how do you actually prepare, from a mindset perspective? Do you have like certain rituals that you would do before you go for a game or anything of that sort? It's so fascinating.
Okay, so as an amateur player, we don't usually get invited to any tournaments. You have to be like at least a GM to like the organizers will sometimes invite you to play and maybe pay you some appearance fee or something. But generally, we play a tournament at our own cost, so we have to register ourselves online or something. And as for the preparation part, it depends on the type of tournament, because there's two main type of tournament. One which we call as open tournament or Swiss tournament. So basically, the tournament will be like maybe 90 or 100 players, and then you play against 9 opponents. So before the tournament, you don't exactly know who your opponents in the 9 games will be. So you will focus more on, or at least for me, I will focus more on polishing myself up, because I don't play chess all the time, and I will. For now, I'm focusing more on my opening part, because uh, opening opening is like, I would say, the main weakness when you compare amateur against a full time player, because opening part is sometimes I would say it's more on using the engine and the memorizing for the lines. But with the game end game, you can play more on understanding of the chess, and you don't. I don't actually see that any difference between uh, amateur player and pro player in middle game and end game. But opening is very common that a professional player actually just wins the game right from the opening, and he don't actually play the game himself. Yeah, he just playing based on the engine line, and so basically he just lose without a single fight, and he literally don't need to think a single move. He just play everything from memory. So
Wow.
that's what happens. So yeah, in tournaments for now, I will be focusing more on polishing my openings and make sure there are no such holes that he can find that he will just win straight. And then also try to find some openings where there are more fighting chances, like for playing for win against weaker player. So these are the top of things in Swiss tournament. And then for other type, which we normally call as round robin tournament. So basically it's like 9 players and then you just play every single player. So in that case, we can prepare more specific opening against that specific opponent and look at his play style. And you can even plan like which game I will play for a win, which game I just hope a draw and things like this. So this is what my preparation normally looks like for now. And for the ritual, well, I don't actually believe in any of this stuff. Like I have some small habits like I will adjust my pieces to the center of the squares before the game. And then there's these two type of player. One you put your knight like pointing towards your opponent, and then the other is you point towards the sides. Because like artistically speaking, towards the side is much nicer and it's actually easier to hold as well. But then pointing towards the opponent is like more it's like you want to attack your opponent or something.
Right.
So previously I have been moving my knight towards my opponent. But then sometimes nowadays, like when I'm playing chess myself, and then end up my knight will be pointing to the side instead. So yeah.
So wait, now that you mentioned that you play chess against yourself, so there's been this burning question, and Jade and I were laughing about it, but we realize it's a very serious question. So supercomputers and AI has come into the mix with chess. So what's your
Yes.
take on that? And do you really believe that deep thinking algorithms like Deep Blue or some of the others, I think there's another one called Deep Mind, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
that deals with chess algorithms is really set not just to take over the chess world, but also deal with moves which have never even been thought of by the human mind. What's your take on that, Li Tian?
Mm, I personally believe that the future era will be all about all these computers, super AI and things like that. For chess now, I would say the chess engines start to come into like top level plays at around I think 1990s, 2000s around there, and it does gives a new understanding of chess to the players in the sense that before before this there's this world champion called Anatoly Karpov who is known for that people says that once his opponent make a single mistake, even the tiniest, he can manage to hold the advantage and slowly move it until the end and he will win again. So this is what people believe he's very good about. But then when engines come in, they analyze the game, they realize, no, that's not the case. It's just that, okay, he hold on to his advantage, but if his opponent didn't make extra mistakes at the end, the game is still a draw. So this is what changes like the complete understanding of the chess. And we realize that sometimes we can just we can go into a slightly worse position, knowing that it is still a draw, but in that position maybe it's easier for your opponent to make mistakes. So that also becomes one way of playing for him and things like this. So this is how like supercomputer have changed the understanding of chess, also like some kind of understanding like between material advantage, like you have more pieces and how active your pieces is, like how do these two factors balance each other. This sort of thing also computer has give us chess player has more insights to it. So yeah, and what else? What else did I not answer?
I was going to ask, do you think the computers can be beaten?
I would say for even for now is I would say it's impossible
Wow.
as a human. For human it's impossible to beat a computer. But for now it's still quite possible to hold a draw against them. Because as I said that they just play the best move, but it's easy for us to play the best move as well. So now the computer is starting like the what is it, the team developing the engines. They are starting to think of how to make them play moves that actually make humans make mistakes easier. So they are also starting to put in these sort of random factors that let the engine not choose the best move, but choose the we call it as a practically best move, which is the one that have the highest chance of winning. So they are
So
now working towards it.
your best outcome against a machine is going to be a draw lah. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and I would say for now, if you are playing like a standard play, probably there's around 50% of drawing, and remaining 50 will be a loss. So, but if you go into rapid and blitz, then I think it's maybe just 5% draw or something. Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, have you heard of chess savants?
Sorry, chess. What?
Chess savants. I was watching something. It came up, and a guy who's pretty good at chess, but not a professional per se. He bumped into someone on the street in the States. I think it was in New York, and this homeless person was had a chessboard. He played him in chess, and he was beaten twice within 3 minutes. And this particular guy, he spoke to his friend who's a professional, and he said these guys are called chess savants. Their mind is just amazing, and no one can ever beat them. Have you heard of them?
Actually, I would say that was actually part of my training when I was, I think around 11 or 12. Because at that point, this is what we call as, we normally call them as I think it's same as the mamak player. Because the mamak player, because these players, they just play at the mamak store in Malaysia, and then they will be like, they don't play the traditionally, like positionally good move. They play into position is very tricky. According to engine, they may be completely lost, but there will be a lot of tricks here and there, and you need to sidestep all of it. So this is like part of my training. Actually, my father actually brought me to his mama friends and then let me play against them. And the main training is that you need to know how to hold on to your advantage when you are winning and just sidestep all of these things. And yeah, I would say it took me like around a few months to actually get over these sort of players. So that
Right.
this is actually part of the chess community. I would say one of the play style. Yeah.
So do
Um,
they play like a rapid and blitz game, or maybe you can explain a little bit more what kind of game do they really focus on?
You mean the mama players?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. Normally they will shine a lot in rapid and blitz because they are very sensitive to all these tactics. But in standard play, you have a lot of time to think, so
Mm.
you can easily spot them and then you just avoid them. And yeah, so normally you will see them most in the rapid tournaments, and also the main tournaments because they are mostly working, so they don't have the time to take like a 1 week off to play in the standard play tournaments. So I mean, these players, most of them, they actually have the potential to go very far. It's just that they are working. They are in Malaysia. It's not a great chess environment. So yeah,
Okay. What's the fastest game that you have played at a tournament level which you have won? How many moves or how fast?
uh, wait, let me. Maybe there was one game in Asian cities. I think. Well, I can't remember which year was it. So basically, what happened was my opponent just allowed me to obtain a very huge positional advantage since the opening. Like he plays the opening, but he didn't know the idea, and then so because normally what happened is that I want to achieve my my target. You want to achieve your target. But then he didn't know what his target is. So he was just trying to stop me from achieving my target, which in that kind of position, I call it a racing position, where basically there's no way you can stop. It's either I'm faster or you are faster. But he didn't know his target, so he was trying to stop me. But then that position is you can't stop at all. So I was just playing very naturally. I didn't really need to like calculate a lot because the idea is there. I know which moves are most likely the correct one. So I just play, and then I'm not sure it's just shortest in terms of moves, but in terms of like the time I spend in playing the game, that I think it's like the shortest. It's probably around just 1 hour or 30 minutes and just finish the standard game.
Okay.
Yeah, normally a standard game is like the normal one will be 3 hours. The longest one will be like 5 or even 6 or 7. One of the World Championship match just like 2 weeks ago is like 8 hours game. So yeah, that's what was the time spent for standard chess games.
8 hours. So is there breaks? Do you get to break halfway
No.
through, go away?
No, but yeah, normally standard play is it's quite often that you play a move and while your opponent is thinking, just stand out, drink water, go to the toilet, or you even want to eat something, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Okay. I really want to talk about, well, from my research into chess, I was looking into it. Obviously, there's a few Hollywood examples, the most recent being Queen's Gambit, Pawn Sacrifice, a few other movies. Before we get into that too much, there was a guy, a grandmaster, Bobby Fischer.
Yeah.
Are you? Yeah, there was talk about him going a little bit, losing his mind a little bit. Whether it's true or not, I have no idea. But often people said he got very paranoid, and because his mind's always thinking, 150 moves ahead, because that's the chess player's mind. He went a bit, I hate using the word, but for lack of a better term, crazy. What do you think about that?
First of all, I have to mention like what's so special about Bobby Fischer is because at that point the chess scene is almost everything is dominated by the Soviet Union or the now Russia, Soviet Union. So it's like every single world champion is from Soviet Union, and they usually all the professionals work as a team, 6, 7 of them, or even more. And the second tier will be supporting the first tier players. So it's all about Soviet Union. You can say chess is basically is if you look at the top level, is every player is from Soviet Union. But then this Bobby Fischer, he came in and he became the world champion by and even winning at a very big margin. It's like some 6-0 scores or something like this. And he just sapu all the Soviet Union players. And it's like it's a big shock to the whole world and especially for the Soviet Union themselves because one person just wins everyone of you. So that's what's so special of him, and maybe that's also what makes him think too much about chess because you have to fight against all these players. But I would say in reality, not all chess players like do a thing like that. It's like okay, sometimes we do like overthink something in real life because chess is like the legal moves are there. These are the moves that you can think. But in real life, there are a lot of possibilities, and you can't actually just say that. Oh, these are the things that will happen. There are a lot of uncertainties here and there. So yeah, sometimes you do overthink and realize, oh, actually that's not going to happen. But yeah, I don't think it gives that much impact to the way you think too much in your life. So,
Interesting.
Zahir, did you want to ask anything? Or I'll carry on here.
No, go ahead because I mean you asked him the really interesting question as to whether he's watched Queen's Gambit and
Yeah.
whether that is something that appeals to him or whether he would think along the same lines or whether there's any truth to the way Hollywood has depicted the whole glamorization of chess. So
Yeah.
what's your take on it, Li Tian?
it's quite shameful that I personally actually haven't watched Queen's Gambit. I did watch the Pawn Sacrifice, but not Queen's Gambit, because well, my father watched it, and then he was saying that, okay, there's some part which is real, but there's some part which is not exactly what happens in the chess community as well. So I just like, okay, never mind. But in general, how does this public view chess, and how these movies show chess to the public? I would say it's sometimes a bit exaggerated, or but I'm fine with that. Like, you just like it's just exaggeration, but it's actually true. Like, qualitative is true, but it's not to that much extent. What I hate more is like, in some movies they will just make some, they try to use chess as as a sign of intelligence or something.
Yes.
But then they even put their chess pieces into some illegal position, or even like they put the initial position as a wrong one or something like this. These are the things that I really hate it, because you're trying to use chess to show something, but you're not doing it seriously.
But you mean you can actually pick it up from a movie itself? You've seen something like that before?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, like there's even this one, when I was like in primary school, there's one very popular like chess set that they sell, and then they will be printing like the tutorial on how to play chess on the packaging, and the tutorial itself is actually wrong, and that was really funny. Like, they put the king and queen at the wrong square, and wow, serious. So yeah, these are things that I hope that will be improved in future.
But I suppose
But
anything that brings awareness of the world to chess. If there is a little bit of glamorization, sexiness associated to chess, it's not a bad thing, I'm sure. Because I think one of which leads us to uh, one of the key things that Jaden had wanted to discuss, which was how you see the chess scene in Malaysia. It's not something which is well publicized. It's not something which, not like football, which is in the newspapers every day. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
you wouldn't necessarily find that same level of public interest or scrutiny in chess. So, what's your take on that, Lithian?
Mm, I would say for now, chess in Malaysia is actually quite growing, because I can see there are more and more local tournaments being held, and I can see the hint from my father. And so what happened was like, they literally have no resource, like no internet, and there are no chess books. The chess books are all from the Europes, and it's very hard to import them over. And so what happened was, there was these articles by I think it's Mr. Kwasing's son, and then he posted in, I forgot which newspaper, it's like Malay Mail or something. So like each week or something, he will post an article that shows the latest game, or maybe it's not latest, at least the latest game that he got from Europe. And so these are the way that my father's age, how they learn chess, and it's like very limited resources. And then come to my age, is there's still no like computer, but there are more books coming in. But and in terms of the tournaments, there are still no local tournaments at all. It's like most tournaments you have to go overseas to play, and things like this. Like most international tournaments, you have to go overseas to play. If you want to play among yourself, it's a quite little tournament. But up to now, I can see there are like, I would say, in fact, there's quite too much of tournaments. Like the rapid and blitz tournaments, it's literally like every week you will see at least one tournament, and sometimes they clashes each other. So in certain, I would say now it's getting too much. Like you just play. You don't analyze your game. So this is one of the problem. But it's like it's too much. It's good. I mean, it's good, but it's too much. So so the players themselves have to be disciplined, that they don't just play tournaments. And yeah. So for now, the chess in Malaysia is, I would say, is quite growing. But how would I say? Uh, there are still like mainly because of the problem of COVID lah. So the international tournaments is still quite little. So that's just the only part which is like quite big deal.
And okay, so the key question then becomes, if you were to turn professional as a chess player in Malaysia, can make a living, or you think it's stretched to make a living?
Professional, there are two main type of professional chess player now. One is like they just play chess. They play tournaments, then they earn prize money from the tournaments. And I would say that is quite impossible, like even in overseas. Mainly you need to be like in the top 50 in the world in order to do that for professionally competitive chess player. It's I need to be top 50 in the world. And so it's not just a problem for Malaysia. But if you're trying to do some chess coaching and then sometimes uh, just chess coaching, then I would say it's quite possible. In fact, I have a few friends who are actually doing chess coaching now, professional, and I would say they are doing quite good. So yeah, so that also shows that there are actually a lot of players, young players, Malaysians who will want to learn playing chess, and which is a good sign. I would say.
Coming back to one of Zahir's earlier questions, entering a tournament internationally, how much does that cost you on average?
That depends on which country I'm going. Like if it's in Malaysia, is quite cheap, I think. So it's like normally the just the entrance fee itself. The World Chess Federation FIDE will charge each player around, I think it's around 300 ringgit Malaysia for one tournament, which is like shortest is 5 days, longer is 9 days like that. So it's a bit expensive, I would say, but I think it's start to lowering down now. So yeah, and then for overseas, like most of the time when I was in Malaysia, I participate tournaments in the Asia or ASEAN country, so it's much cheaper, and the flight is also cheaper, the stay also cheaper. But after I went to UK, then I start to get to play around tournaments more in Europe, because Europe is still the main chess scene for now. So and then I get to play a lot of tournaments, and I would say the price actually really depends on which country you are going. I remember I went to this Croatia, maybe Croatia or Sweden. I think it's Croatia. Croatia was really very expensive. It's like I think the MACD there, I remember it's like something like 50 ringgit per meal, or even like 70, 80 ringgit per meal. Like just a MACD normal meal. And yeah. But then if I went to the other one is maybe was Sweden or something like that. Basically it's quite reasonable. It's I mean it's still like 20 to 30 ringgit. But it's like around the same price as my living in UK in London. So yeah. It
So,
really
as a
depends.
young chess player traveling to Europe, your flights, your accommodation, your meals, which are varied per meal in cost, far out. So,
Yeah.
that's not supported at all. That's all on you. You've got to do that as a up and coming professional.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But this,
Wow.
Yes, it's. I guess that would be a barrier to entry if you wanted to take chess to the next level. Because actually, one of the questions I wanted to ask you: what is your level at the moment? What is your chess status?
mm, for now, my FIDE rating is around 2,500, which is like just surpassed the GM, the first condition on the rating, and then I have two norms, so I need the last norms. And in terms of standard, like based on rating, I think I'm in among the top 1,000 in the world, something like this.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah,
And do you have sponsorship?
not at all. Like because in Malaysia they are very little. I know in Indonesia there are a few companies that actually sponsor chess. And Philippines I'm not sure, but I know Indonesia there's a lot. And then for this Europe there'll be really a lot, because there are some universities where they actually provide just a sponsorship for the chess players. It's like not a sports scholarship, just chess scholarship. and yeah, so
But you have to be a student of that university, is it, to
yeah,
qualify
yeah.
for it? Oh, okay, okay. Right. And I mean, has it been something that you've tried to get? Have you like tried to get sponsorship or anything? Because like you mentioned, the late Tan Sri Tan, is it? Or Nan, the one that
Dato
sent you
Tan
to
Ching.
that the one that sent you to Beijing, for
Yeah.
instance. So obviously he had some great interest in it. And do you think that it's something that you can find, or do you think it's going to be a bit of a stretch?
Uh, for very long, there's only Dato Tan who is supporting the chess scene. Like most of the sponsorship on the chess events, even organized by the Malaysian Chess Federation themselves, it's like Dato Tan actually putting some support in there. And then
Right.
after Dato Tan passed away, and then I think for now there's not much support from the company outside. I mean, there are a few here and there for a few for just that player for just that tournament. But then in overall, like a long term support, there's no.
Hmm. So I
Once you
mean, and
reach,
then yeah, sorry, Jaden, go ahead.
no, you say here, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask that given that, what would be your long-term plan? So does that mean that you would consider full-time professional chess playing or teaching, as you said, that since that's something that you can do, or will it just be that sadly you will be a grandmaster, but maybe not as active in chess as you would want to be?
For now, my future career plan is like I will just reserve the chess coaching as just a reserve plan, because like I
Right.
just want to explore more on the world, because I was just studying the data science, and I think it's very interesting. So I would like to work into it deeper, and yeah, what else?
Hmm. So chess may take a back seat where you are concerned, lah. That's what you're saying. And you'll end up working first before, let's say, being a full-time professional chess player. Would that be fair to say? Or
Yeah, and yeah, regarding the GM title, for now I would say I'm slowly putting it down. Like before this, I was really focused towards getting the GM title. But and then when the COVID hits, and because COVID hits, then we can't have any of the physical chess tournament, and because of that, all the tournaments is cannot be recognized by the FIDE, because if you play online, there are a lot of cheating issues here
right,
and there. So
right, right.
they can't ensure the fairness, so they cannot do anything. So and then before the COVID hits, I'm still like working quite actively, preparing myself for future tournaments. But then after COVID comes in, and for 2 years there are basically no tournaments at all. And then I'm not sure have I passed my peak or something, but at least I'm pretty sure now I'm not as good as I was before the COVID. I get quite lazy, because I know like there are not any tournaments in near future, so I just like, okay, never mind. So yeah,
Tough. I mean, I can understand that COVID has messed up with everything, but it's a shame in a way that it has kind of curtailed some part of your career also, Li Tian. So that's something that I feel sad for. But anyway, positive note is at least you have taken Malaysia and us and put it on the map to some extent. And whatever it is, you're one of the top 1,000 players in the world, which is still a fantastic accolade, right? Out of all the millions of people who play chess, and some of us who don't even understand it properly, you know. So
Well, there's potentially a career for you in Hollywood, being a chess advisor for any chess movies coming up. I think that's an interesting
good
career
point.
path.
Yes, you can arrange their chess pieces properly before they take a snap of the board, you know.
But it's super interesting talking to you, because you and I had very different childhoods. remember when I was in primary school and high school with sports events, you'd have sports parties after the event. Did you have any like chess parties where all your chess buddies get together and sneak in a few beers and have a good time? Or
Definitely not in Malaysia. But yeah. In London when I was studying, yeah, there's some. Yeah, sometimes you just sit down and just play chess and yeah, have a good laugh and things like this.
oh, good, good. So that's good. So it is also a very social thing where you get to hang out with all your buddies and have a good time and talk all things good about chess.
Yeah.
Um, at the moment, you're moving more into the mathematician side. You're still involved in chess a bit at the moment. But what else is next for you? What's the next adventure?
Mm, well, I'm not sure because I will probably finish my master degree and then just go on and start working. With, but I'm not sure in which company, but like probably about around maths, data science, and things like this. So as for chess, well, it's slowly becoming more and more like a part-time job because like when I was in secondary school, sometimes I don't even know am I doing studies full time and then chess part time, or am I doing chess full time and then study part time? This sort of things. But then now it's quite clear that chess is slowly uh, taking out less and less time in my life.
As we've heard, it'd be difficult if there is not a lot of financial backing, its sponsors, and then the chess federations internationally and locally not putting money behind it. It would be hard. It would be really hard. I'm not sure how we can help you. Maybe I've just thought of an idea. We can get you back on the podcast and we can play live Queen's Gambit. While you're watching it, we can get a chess professionals commentary.
Yeah, possible.
But it's interesting, Li Tian, if you watch YouTube, for instance, just following Jaden's earlier questions, there are a lot of these people that go to like Central Park in New York, and it's recorded. Yeah, you will see this lady who plays against a lot of these like almost like hobos or tramps, and these guys sit down, they bring their own boards, and they play a really quick game. And the speed with which they play, rapid and blitz, as you said, but even their thinking that's behind it, it's fantastic. It's so intriguing that it has also for its own cult following in the sense that if you look at the number of views or the number of likes based on that itself, quite a lot of people actually watch this kind of chess. Have you yourself ever personally followed any of it or watched it on YouTube, for instance?
I watched a few of it, but like it's not that. I mean, to me, when I see chess, I just look at the chess game itself. And then
Right.
if the quality, especially as a blitz game, normally the quality is just not that high. So and then I was like, okay, I don't really learn much from this, so I just quit. Yeah,
Okay. You look at it from an education platform kind of thing.
yeah. I mean, I'm a chess player, so when I see chess, I will just try to learn something.
Right.
And so I will follow more on the commentary by the top level players, like
Right.
top 50 players, and those are more uh, educating us.
I see. Okay. Wonderful.
Chess is look, without chess, we wouldn't have you as a key person for Malaysia as a spokesperson. You've traveled all around Southeast Asia, Asia Pacific, and now that even though you're not going to pursue, or you may not, let's just keep it open. You may not pursue your GM title, but you even if you don't, you're going more into the mathematician side, which obviously the world needs more mathematicians and minds like yours. So if that's the mindset of a chess player, should we be doing more for chess in Malaysia? And in your opinion, how do we do that? How do we bring this up in the right way?
Yeah. Very relevant.
Mm, I think a good way is that there was once where there's this chess league tournament actually also organized by the Late Taratan. And then what happened was like every week they will just play a game of chess, and then you will form a team. I remember it's like 10 players in a team, and each week 4 of them will play. And maybe this week they are more busy, then you don't play or something like this. So the main point here is that it's a long term because it's one game per week, and then you just keep the chess scene active, and then maybe people will drop by and view the game when they are free or something. And then you also as a stable platform to bring all the chess players together. And actually, at that time, there was quite a lot of players doing playing, and then we missed each other very often because of that. And then I think after 1 or 2 times, and then it stops for some reason that I don't actually know. And then, yeah, now it just gets harder to reach each other like this.
So it seems like we in the chess field in Malaysia, we had a big loss with Dato Tan. Maybe that's some shoes you could fill for the up and coming chess players.
Yeah, I would say, in some sense, my journey is actually very lucky now I look back at it. Like, because when I was in primary school, there was this tournament called like APSO, which is APSSO, which stands for ASEAN Primary School Sports Olympiad. And the tournament started when I was in wait, pardon me. It's like it was organized for 4 years, and that exactly 4 years was my years in primary school. So when it started, I joined, and then after 4 years, I left primary school, and then the tournament finished. No more continuation. So in some sense, you can say I was there because the tournament is kind of was there for me or something. And then after that, and then Tarotan was also in my area, in my like I was lucky to be around this time where Tarotan is still here. And then after that, and then the only unlucky is that COVID-19 just hits in. So yeah, just I guess there's this thing that we often laugh about is like this is what we call as a conservation of luck. Like you can be lucky at some point, and after that there'll be some unlucky things that happens.
Very interesting. Yeah, I actually believe in that concept as well. But it's just been such an interesting chat to have had with you, Li Tian. Fantastic. So many insights that you have shared, so many personal learnings and journeys that you have shared with us. So it's been fascinating. And very grateful to Jayden, obviously, for putting together this whole segment and doing this together.
Same sentiments. I knew this was going to be a great chat. You're a really interesting guy. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. I feel like we could chat away for another hour. But I think for today we'll wrap it up. I'd like to explore. I'd like to really watch Queen's Gambit with you and get your commentary. I think that'd be fascinating.
Yeah.
But Li Tian, I really appreciate your time today. So does Zahir. It's been great. It's been a blast. But any closing words, any message you want to get out there to the young and up and coming chess players?
I'll say most important thing is you need to enjoy the chess. Like anything that you do, you need to enjoy. Then only you can go far. And in fact, chess is actually a very fun game. It's like it's a battle of mind, and yeah. So that's all from me. And I want to thank Zafir and Jayden today as well, because that was really a fun session. I get to share a lot of my own stories.
Pleasure having you, my friend. Have yourself a good rest of the week. Really enjoyed chatting to you. And we look forward to speaking to you again in the future.
Thank you so much, Jayden, Li Tian. It's been a pleasure.